लाइट बंद रहता है क्या, ऑन रहता है? लाइट ऑन करेंगे तो अच्छा रहेगा। हाँ, थोड़ा ऑन कीजिए। हरे कृष्णा। हरे कृष्णा। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। जय गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजना। यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजना। जमुना तीरा वनचारी। जमुना तीरा वनचारी। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जना वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी। यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजना। जमुना तीरा वनचारी। जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Shata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jayam Vishnupad Paramhamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtotara Shata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhant Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam Ki. Bhādra Purnima Mahotsav Ki. All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees. All glories, all glories, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Hare Krishna. So today is a very auspicious day. It's called as Bhādra Purnima. Today is the day when Shukadeva Goswami, while narrating Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj, had concluded Srimad Bhagavatam. So if you just calculate, the Bhagavatam narration have started around Radhashtami, if I am not wrong. 7 days before Purnima comes Ashtami. So Radhashtami day probably the Bhagavatam narration started, and today, that is 7 days from then, this has got completed. So we'll be discussing glories of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. We'll start with invocatory prayers and then we'll discuss from this verse which comes in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Okay? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jaya mudiraye nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya Bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naistiki Krishnaya vasudevaya Devaki nandanaya cha Nanda gopaha kumaraya Govindaya namo namaha. Hare Krishna. So, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, being a commentary by Srila Vyasadeva on his own composition of Vedanta Sutra. So we all know this Vedanta Sutra is a complete synopsis of whatever has been given in Vedas. That's why it is called as Vedanta Sutra. So now, sometimes people ask why Vedanta Sutra is very authoritative. Like in the first canto we read in the introduction, the Vedas or Vedanta Sutra are themselves itself is authoritative. Nobody authorizes saying that Vedanta Sutra is ultimate knowledge. Why? Because if somebody else authorizes Vedanta Sutra, is authorized literature, that becomes more authorized than Vedanta Sutra. So that's the reason why Vedanta Sutra are self-effulgent. Right? Nobody needs to give a proof that sun is really a luminous object. Right? Nobody asks for a proof that is sun an illuminous object. Nobody asks that proof. Because by existence, sun itself is illuminous. So similarly, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is also like that. So where do we find how glorious Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is? There is no other better place than Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam itself. So when Shukadeva Goswami concluded his teachings, he concluded with this chapter. Of course, we have few more verses after that, but still this is one kind of conclusion. So this is 12th canto, 13th chapter, entitled The Glories of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and this is text 16, and most of us know this text because Prabhupada has repeated this text while speaking on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam quite a good number of times. So we'll see this verse and then we'll get into more of a discussion. Nimnaganam yatha ganga devanam achyuto yatha Vaishnavanam yatha Shambhu Purananam idam tatha Nimnaganam yatha Ganga Nimnaganam yatha Ganga Devanam achyuto yatha Devanam achyuto yatha Vaishnavanam yatha Shambhu वैष्णवानां यथा शम्भु पुराणानामिदं तथा निम्नगानां यथा गंगा देवानामच्युतो यथा वैष्णवानां यथा शम्भु पुराणानामिदं तथा निम्नगानां यथा गंगा देवानामच्युतो यथा वैष्णवानां यथा शम्भु पुराणानामिदं तथा. Please recite. निम्नगानां यथा पुराणानामिदं तथा निम्नगानां यथा गंगा देवानामच्युतो यथा वैष्णवानां यथा शम्भु पुराणानामिदं तथा निम्नगानां यथा गंगा देवानामच्युतो यथा वैष्णवानां यथा शम्भु पुराणानामिदं तथा. Any one more devotee? निम्नगानां यथा गंगा देवानामच्युतो यथा वैष्णवानां यथा शम्भु पुराणानामिदं तथा. Anybody from Vaishnavis? निम्नगानां यथा गंगा देवानामच्युतो यथा वैष्णवानां यथा शम्भु पुराणानामिदं तथा निम्नगानां यथा गंगा देवानामच्युतो यथा वैष्णवानां यथा शम्भु पुराणानामिदं तथा. We'll see what word meaning. Nimnaganam of rivers flowing down to the sea. Yatha as Ganga the Ganges. Devanam of all deities. Achyuta the infallible Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yatha as Vaishnavanam of devotees of Lord Vishnu. Yatha as Shambhu Shiva Purananam of Puranas. Idam this. Yat tatha similarly. Translation translated by disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Translation. Just as the Ganga is the greatest of all rivers, Lord Achyuta the supreme among the deities, and Lord Shambhu, Shiva, the greatest of Vaishnavas, so Srimad Bhagavatam is the greatest of all Puranas. Please recite the translation in response. Just as the Ganga is the greatest of all rivers, Lord Achyuta, the supreme among deities, and Lord Shambhu, Shiva, the greatest of Vaishnavas, so Srimad Bhagavatam is the greatest of all Puranas. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Śrīvās Rāsabihārī Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. I seek blessings of all the devotees so that I can speak about the glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. So every day we read Srimad Bhagavatam, we discuss from Srimad Bhagavatam, and today we will be discussing about why we do that. So here in this verse we see Nimnaganam Yatha Ganga. So river Ganges is considered supreme amongst all the rivers. Why? Because anyone who comes in contact with Ganges becomes purified. So that's why Ganga is considered pure, because anybody who comes in contact with Ganga becomes pure. So Srimad Bhagavatam likewise is also like that. Anybody who has impurities in their heart, practically everyone in this material world, the reason why we are here is that we have impurities in our heart. So, what does Srimad Bhagavatam do to such a person? We recite every day, Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu. But then it says Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. So Nityam Bhagavatam Sevaya, because what happens is, just like when we go and take bath in Ganges, we are definitely purified. But the moment you come out of Ganga and you start doing your other activities, you again become impure. So that's why we should be constantly in touch with Ganga to become purified. So similarly, the idea is that by Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, all the abhadras go away. And another reason why Bhagavatam is compared to Ganga is that Ganga always keeps flowing. Especially if you have visited these places like Rishikesh or Haridwar, you will see the flow of Ganga being very, very intense. Of course, when you come down in the plateau where you have, Ganga is almost meeting the sea, then the speed is little slow. But at least when you see Ganga is originating, it is very, very fast and intense. So what does it teach us? Or what does it give us an understanding? So here sometimes the sea is considered as Lord Vishnu. And all the rivers flow towards sea is compared like our devotion should flow towards Lord Vishnu. Even Mother Kunti uses this example. What is that verse from Kunti Maharani's prayers? Tvai me ananya vishaya matir madhupate sakrit ratim udvato yatha gange vagham udanvati. So there also Kunti Maharani uses that. Let my devotion flow like Ganga. So what happens when the flow is like Ganga, the devotion especially of Srimad Bhagavatam, is so intense that anyone who comes in touch with that, like for example you go to a place where Ganga is flowing very high, you just by mistake also you get into it, just put the hand or leg, you get flowed away. So anybody who comes in touch with Srimad Bhagavatam, he starts flowing into the devotion of Krishna's mercy. So that is the mercy which Srimad Bhagavatam gives. You come in touch with Bhagavatam somehow or other, in an authorized way, of course. You get soaked, you get influenced by the river of Ganga. Similarly, when we read Srimad Bhagavatam in an authorized way, we become influenced, we become soaked with devotion. And ultimately, as Ganga, as the river ultimately will meet sea only, right? You'll never see that a river suddenly while flowing gets disappeared. A river while flowing ultimately reaches sea. So similarly, when you come to Srimad Bhagavatam, ultimately you meet whom? Achyutaha. That's why it is said, Nimnaganam yatha Ganga, Devanam Achyuto yataha. So now why does it say Achyuto yataha? It could have said Krishna yatha also. Or Madhavo yatha also. There can be different names of Krishna that could have been used. But why Achyuta only? You go in Bhagavad Gita, you will see Arjuna refers to Krishna as Achyutaha. So there Prabhupada takes time and explains that Achyuta means, what does Achyuta mean? One who never falls down. So similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam also never falls down. Now, I mean, it needs an explanation. Somebody says Srimad Bhagavatam never falls down. Means what? How does it happen? It needs an explanation. So why Srimad Bhagavatam is glorified above all is that Srimad Bhagavatam glorifies only pure devotional service. It does not glorify karmakand. It does not glorify other process of attaining Krishna. Achyuta means never falls down. He needs to. 1 second. Yeah. So falls down in glorifying anything other than pure devotional service. That's why Srimad Bhagavatam is called as Amala Puranam. Amala Puranam means there is no unnecessary things. Like for example, somebody wants to drink milk. Somebody wants to drink milk, and you mix milk with so much of water. It almost looks like water. There is only little bit milk. So a person who wants milk, he ends up drinking this. He feels very unhappy. That's why sometimes Bhagavatam is called as Paramhamsa Samhita. Paramhamsa Samhita. Paramhamsa Samhita means all that is which is useless. It has already been removed. All that is which is useless is already being removed. That's why in the Srimad Bhagavatam there is nothing which is not necessary. So that's why we will see that Vedavyasa was also unhappy because he has not written Srimad Bhagavatam. So many unnecessary things are floating around in this world. But what is necessary is Srimad Bhagavatam. Like Srimad Sukadeva Goswami, when he is speaking to Parikshit Maharaj in the beginning, he says, Shrotavyadinu Rajendra Nrinam Santi Sahasrasa. There are so much useless things in this world. In this world, if you see, there is thousands of literatures which are really useless, which has really no value. In fact, so much so that this whole material world is only useless. There is one story, one small pastime of Prabhupada. When Prabhupada was in Mexico or somewhere, he was with Hridayanand Maharaj. And there was a dustbin and there was something written in the Mexican language. And Prabhupada asked, what is written there? And Hridayanand Maharaj described that it is written that throw waste in this. And Prabhupada says, oh, we have to throw whole material world into that. So in this material world, there is so much of useless things. So much of unnecessary nonsense going on. Just for example, you go to a social media platform, you go to YouTube or any other general thing. There is so much of dirt there. There is only little bit good, that is whatever is people speaking about Krishna or Krishna consciousness. So this idea that speak so much of useless things. Like when Narad Muni was trying to correct Vedavyas, Narad Muni told, what have you done? You have the essence, but you have packed up the essence with so much of unwanted things. Just like I was giving example, you have little bit milk, you mix so much with it water that you don't get the taste of milk only. And imagine somebody gives you with this and says that this is milk, you will say that this is nonsense. Similarly, Narad Muni also felt that what have you done? Instead of giving Srimad Bhagavatam, glories of Supreme Personality of God, you have spoken so many different things. And Bhagavatam does not contain anything like that. Anything which is unnecessary. That is the reason why Bhagavatam is always superior than all Puranas. Devanam achyuto yatha. And then it says Vaishnavanam yatha Shambhu. So Vaishnavanam yatha Shambhu, Purananam idam tata. So why Lord Shiva is being used here for comparing to be as Srimad Bhagavatam. So anything which is spoken in Srimad Bhagavatam is very, very scientific, very, very logical. It is not that it was composed only to match the poetic sense. Sometimes there is a poetic sense to a composition. And just to match the poetic sense, it is not that it is written Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. So now Shiva has a very good specific qualities. What is the quality of Lord Shiva is that he gives compassion to even the most fallen. Right? Nobody is a person who is rejected by Lord Shiva's in the list of compassion. Like sometimes we see that Krishna is not very, very compassionate. He kills demons, especially Shishupal. Like that, there are places where Lord Krishna kills demons also. But Shiva gives compassion to very, very fallen people also. And they, by the association of Lord Shiva, they come at least to the platform of understanding the glories. And not just that, it is also mentioned that in his eternal planet of Lord Shiva, that is Sadashiva Loka, which is a part of Vaikuntha, Lord Shiva is speaking Srimad Bhagavatam continuously. Sometimes we have this idea that Srimad Bhagavatam is only like 12 cantos. But Srimad Bhagavatam is not just 12 cantos, it always keeps on expanding. Just like we see that Ganga also keeps on expanding. Like Ganga starts as a very small rivulet sometimes in Gangotri, but as it flows also it takes up the speed. So Ganga always flows and increases, Bhagavatam increases. So there is no person that Srimad Bhagavatam is not being able to deliver. So Bhagavatam has a very, very nectarian way of giving things. Bhagavatam is described as a ripened fruit of Vedic literature. Like for example, we want to eat some fruit. If the fruit is kacha, not ripened, we may not be able to relish it. Right? Imagine we want to eat a mango, but the mango is kacha. It is very difficult to relish mango. But if the mango is ripened, like if I ask in this assembly, how many of you like ripened mango? Everyone will be ready, yes, I want ripened mango. Now, what Shukdev Goswami has done is that he has juiced out that ripened mango. Somebody says that there is ripened mango, everyone is interested. And somebody says that the ripened mango has been juiced out. The juice has been made up of a ripened mango. Like there is an unripened mango. Can you make a juice out of it? No, it's difficult. Of course, you may have a different sense of juicing out an unripened mango, but generally, in normal sense, अनराइपेंड मैंगो का जूस नहीं होता है. Ripened mango, yes, there is a juice. So similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam is called as ripened mango because it gives juice. And juice is very, very succulent, easy to understand, easy to relish, and very, very tasty. No effort required from our side. Of course, the only effort required is that you just have to drink it. So that's why Bhagavatam says, Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam. Rasamalayam means what? Generally when we say Alayam, means it is a huge collection. Like when we go to a library, we call it as Pustakalayam because it is a huge collection. So much so that you will not be able to finish it. Like for example, you go to library and can you sit and say that I will read the entire library? Not possible. You can only drink so much so that you can satisfy yourself. That is the meaning of Alayam. Alayam means huge collection. So Rasam Alayam means what? It is not that one person read Srimad Bhagavatam and it is Ras is finished. Right? When we distribute sometimes the juice, the people who come in the last will say Rasam Sampurnam. We don't have more juice to distribute. But Bhagavatam is not like that. It is Rasam Alayam means no matter how much you want to drink, you can drink and there will be still sufficient for others to drink. That is why it is called as Pibata Bhagavata Rasam Alayam. So you can drink Srimad Bhagavatam. Every day we drink Srimad Bhagavatam. So that's why when Shukadeva Goswami gave this Srimad Bhagavatam, it kept on expanding. We see right now in this time and age, we are very, very fortunate that we have Srimad Bhagavatam being so freely distributed. Right? I can really use that word called freely distributed because on this day at least many people want to give donation, and those people who wish to receive this, they just receive it really freely, right? Most of the people really receive it freely. So this Bhagavatam is so freely distributed, which at other times was very, very difficult. Our Acharyas have done great struggle so that this Rasamalayam is being reached out by many people. So this Bhagavatam also sometimes is described as a right medicine. Right medicine at right time. Like for example, last 2 years or somewhere, everyone was fearful about this pandemic. So imagine there is a pandemic and we got the vaccine. So as soon as the vaccine is done, imagine what will be the intensity of distribution of that vaccine. How large scale manufacturing, how large scale distribution of that vaccination happens. So that urgency our Acharyas had. Because in Kali Yuga, the right medicine has to be administered. Like for example, you go to a medicine store, you have a particular disease, you go to a medicine store, you pick up any medicine and take, thinking that this is also medicine. Your disease might get more inflicted. You might even die if you don't take the right medicine. So that's why Bhagavatam is described as right medicine at right time. And that is the reason why Narad Muni was little bit upset, rather more upset with Vyasadeva. This is the right time for you to give Srimad Bhagavatam. People are suffering. Like for example, people are suffering and you have the medicine of that. So how intense you should be to give out that medicine to the others. So you know that people are suffering for want of Krishna and you have Krishna in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. In Kali Yuga, the personality of Godhead in one of the forms, in the most easily distributable form, is Srimad Bhagavatam and the holy name. So if you have the holy name, if you have the Srimad Bhagavatam, so you have right medicine for all the people suffering humanity. So how intensely we distribute it is up to us. So Srimad Bhagavatam now being so freely distributed was not so easy in our previous times. We have one instance in our Gaudiya Vaishnava history, that there was Śrīvās Acharya who wanted to read Srimad Bhagavatam, understand Srimad Bhagavatam. So we all know Chaitanya Mahaprabhu every day used to relish Srimad Bhagavatam. The routine of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was that he will go take darshan of Lord Jagannath and he will come and sit with Gadadhar Pandit, right, to discuss Srimad Bhagavatam. So we have to follow in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya. Every day we come, take darshan of Shri Shri Radha Madhav, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra, and then we do what? We discuss Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srinivas Acharya apparently was not very fortunate to sit and discuss Srimad Bhagavatam or hear Srimad Bhagavatam from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in one of the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, there are two types of Bhagavatas. What are the two types of Bhagavatams? Bhakta Bhagavatam and Book Bhagavatam. So if we have combination of both, your life is successful. Bhakta Bhagavata and Book Bhagavata. So Srinivas Acharya wanted to have relishing Srimad Bhagavatam with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Somehow it could not take place. So then he approaches Gadadhar Pandit that, please can you enlighten me about Srimad Bhagavatam. So then when Gadadhar Pandit told that I have Bhagavatam in a manuscript format, but unfortunately I cannot discuss that with you. Why? What's wrong? Because when Gadadhar Pandit used to read Srimad Bhagavatam, the tears used to fall from his eyes and the manuscripts got erased because he was constantly feeling that ecstasy of Srimad Bhagavatam. Of course now the print is different. In those days we did not have Kindles, right? We had manuscripts written with ink. And when the ink got spread, Gadadhar Pandit said, Bhagavatam manuscript is there, but I can't discuss Bhagavatam. So for Srinivas Acharya to find out another manuscript where there is Bhagavatam was very, very difficult, and somehow he found it. And by that time, he sees that Gadadhar Pandit also unmanifest like that. So it was so difficult. But for us, Srimad Bhagavatam is so very, very easily available. So easily available that we are ready to give free to others. It's all mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada, if we see in his life, he was a person Bhagavat who gave us book Bhagavat. So all those who are followers of Srila Prabhupada are very, very fortunate to have this combination. Purports given by a book Bhagavat on Bhagavatam. So what Srila Prabhupada used to do, what hardships he underwent to give us Srimad Bhagavatam. So why he was so much behind this giving Srimad Bhagavatam? Because in Bhagavatam in one place it says that by reading Bhagavatam, what happens to a person is Shoka, Moha, Bhaya, Apaha. Means, Apaha means he is cut off. What are the things which are cut off from a person who reads Srimad Bhagavatam? Shoka, Moha and Bhaya. So you go around this world, practically everyone you will see that they are inflicted by this. Inflicted means? Inflicted means you will see living symptoms in them of these three things. Shoka, Moha, Bhaya. Right? So what is that Shoka of about past? Or what has happened in his life or what is happening in his life? Shoka means lamentation. Because they are not Krishna conscious. If you are not Krishna consciousness, whatever you do will ultimately give you Shoka. So people are lamenting about their life in this material world. Or they are in illusion, moha. And what is the illusion the people are living in this material world? They are living in the illusion that sense gratification will give me happiness. sense gratification will give me. That is the biggest illusion. We see small illusions sometimes, optical illusion. So many illusions we see. The biggest illusion people have in this material world is sense gratification will give me happiness. And that illusion, people are just running behind that. Like like an animal who sees in the desert that there is a water at far distance. So when an animal sees that illusion, that there is a far distance, the illusion is such a great illusion that the moment you start stepping towards that illusion keeps moving. And we think that we are just near. We think that we are just near. So sense gratification gives this illusion that you will be happy by sense gratification, and the another illusion that is created is you are just near to that happiness. But you never get it. So people are in shoka, moha and bhaya. What is that bhaya? Is that will I get good sense gratification? That is the bhaya they are living in. So Srimad Bhagavatam, what it does is, it cuts the person from shoka, moha, bhaya. So to remove people from shoka, moha, bhaya, our acharyas have struggled a lot. We all know how first canto came about, how much Srila Prabhupada struggled to bring out this first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. He translated himself, he typed it, he translated it, he typed it, he went to the printing press, he somehow collected money for printing Srimad Bhagavatam by selling BTG magazines, or sometimes it is described that he even preferred walking than taking a rickshaw, so that money he can use it for printing. So imagine how much Prabhupada was filled with this idea that Bhagavatam should be printed. And when Srimad Bhagavatam was printed and the first canto was ready, then he embarked on his most cherished journey to distribute Srimad Bhagavatam to entire world. Because Prabhupada was feeling that everyone is suffering and I have that medicine. I have that medicine and I should give. So Prabhupada had sleepless nights. Wherever he used to go, travel, he used to continuously dictate Srimad Bhagavatam, late up till 1 o'clock in the night sometimes. There is one recollection of Prabhupada's disciple, probably by Tamal Krishna Maharaj, that they had a very long journey to US. That is a very intimate remembrance of Prabhupada with his disciples. A few instances. One instance was after 1 or 2 years of journey across the globe, Prabhupada came back to America. So he was sitting in a car along with Kirtananand Maharaj. And when car was driving through from airport to this place of 26 2nd Avenue, so Prabhupada was recollecting that this is the place where I used to stay. This is the street where we started Kirtan in 1966. And this is a place where one of the storefronts Prabhupada stayed, where his typewriter was stolen. So Prabhupada was recollecting all this with his disciple Kirtananand Maharaj. And then Prabhupada gave a very good analogy. He said that just like Varaha, when he appeared, was very small. But when he appeared, he immediately became so huge. So similarly, when Krishna consciousness started in this street, the Krishna consciousness movement was very small. And now it has become so huge. Imagine in just a span of 3 or 4 years, there were 40 temples in America. And not 40 temples of America of now. Now the situation is different. At those times, every temple was filled with like at least 40-50 brahmacharis or full-time people just preaching and distributing books. Imagine 40 temples. Even now, we made one temple in 3 years. Right? 2-3 years we made just one temple. 40 temples in 3 years was unimaginable. That's what Prabhupada has done. So huge, like a Varaha. So another time when Prabhupada was traveling with Tamal Krishna Maharaj or something, it was a very long journey and the flight reached in the night. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj thought that, okay, I will make the room for Prabhupada and Prabhupada will sleep. Long journey, nobody would like to do anything. But according to Prabhupada's schedule, his schedule was night 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock, typing or dictating Srimad Bhagavatam. He was not like, I will jet lag. Okay, today my health is not good. Like sometimes devotees tend to do that. Today my health is not good. Okay, Bhagavatam class, no problem, no worries. So Prabhupada was not like that. He said, so Tamal Krishna Maharaj made the room for Prabhupada. He thought Prabhupada will sleep. He did everything that is needed for Prabhupada to sleep, and he also slept. He also slept outside the room. But after some time, he saw that sound was coming from Prabhupada's room. When you dictate in that time the dictagram, in that time there was no computerized technology. If you use a dictagram, the sound comes. After you dictate a while, you have to press a button. So Tamal Krishna Maharaj heard that sound, and he realized that Prabhupada is continuing with his schedule of writing Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is a fortune that we all have got, that our acharyas have immensely struggled to give this Srimad Bhagavatam to all of us. Why? Once again I repeat, it is because the right medicine at right time. So this is what is Srimad Bhagavatam. Because you become a Vaishnava, you become a devotee of Lord Vishnu, you will never be satisfied by anything else other than Srimad Bhagavatam. You want satisfaction, you come to Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, you want philosophy, Bhagavad Gita is there definitely. But the satisfaction comes by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Just by reciting the verses. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Just by hearing these narrations, there is a satisfaction to the heart. That is what is Srimad Bhagavatam gives. And another thing about, of course we have discussed that, but another thing about Srimad Bhagavatam is that it is quite condensed in giving that rasa. The rasamalayam of pure devotion to Krishna is not just milk now, right? Vedavyas, when he has given Paramhamsa Samhita, Paramhamsa Samhita means remove all that is not necessary. Like for example, you have sweet rice, right? Everyone likes sweet rice? Yes. Imagine sweet rice, you have a few sand particles. When you eat that sweet rice, although it is sweet, but you feel like, you bite a sand particle in the sweet rice. You feel like, no, not for me. So all that is being removed. And now it is become very, very, purified. I can say that milk. Now milk, of course now Vedavyasa has given milk, Paramhamsa Samhita. All that is unwanted is removed from Vedas. Now milk is good enough to give nourishment, but that milk becomes little condensed, like rabdi. By the mercy of Acharyas. You add sugar also. The commentaries of Acharyas is like adding sugar. It becomes really very, very tasty. You just can't stop yourself from it. So that is also one of the features of Srimad Bhagavatam. You just can't stop. So when we came to Krishna consciousness, in our times when we were college students, we had this statement. We used to get sometimes time while we are traveling. We sit in a bus or something, we're traveling. So one devotee friend of mine gave a statement. Reading Srimad Bhagavatam can be hazardous. I was like, what? Reading Srimad Bhagavatam can be hazardous. Hazardous in the sense that you will get lost. You just don't know where to stop. You sit in a bus, imagine you are supposed to get down somewhere, you read Srimad Bhagavatam, reading. You just don't know where to stop, where the bus stopped, you reach somewhere else. But of course, you are reaching to the supreme destination of Krishna consciousness. That is our ultimate destination. So that is what is Srimad Bhagavatam. When the Bhagavatam's sweetness is relished, then a person is done. It's gone. I mean, he cannot taste anything else. So that's why Srimad Bhagavatam sometimes gives. There is 1 minute. I just got a term. Okay. Yeah. I coined this term called feast house. Feast house. So Bhagavatam describes that there is one feast house called crow's feast house. Right? There is crow's feast house and there is swan's feast house. All these people are feasting on this crow's feast house because they just don't know that there is swan's feast house also. Right? There is swan's feast house. Why are you feasting on crow's feast house? So all that we have to tell the people is that there is swan's feast house also. Why are you eating in a crow's feast house? So what we go out and preach is about swan's feast house. You imagine there is a verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, I think. Grows about so it is a tirtha of crows. There is a tirtha of swans. So Bhagavatam is a tirtha of swans. So imagine we are in Krishna consciousness movement, especially Srila Prabhupada has given so much emphasis on Srimad Bhagavatam. Imagine if we ourselves have not read Srimad Bhagavatam, then what we have done? Prabhupada has given up his night's sleep, and we sometimes feel that our day sleeps is okay. When at least when we came to Krishna consciousness, the level of importance was given to Prabhupada's book reading. It was so much that we had decided that in 4 years we'll complete Srimad Bhagavatam. We sat one day after another day in and day out. Just like Prabhupada gave himself into day in and day out in writing Srimad Bhagavatam, at least we should give in day and day out sometimes. Just read Srimad Bhagavatam. Just read Srimad Bhagavatam and release that nectar. So once that nectar comes into our heart, anything else becomes distasteful. Anything else becomes distasteful. We are happy with serving Krishna. We are happy in seeing Krishna. We are happy in hearing about Krishna. We are happy about taking prasadam of Krishna. We are so happy in ourselves that we don't need anything else. That is why it gives complete satisfaction. Because if scriptures don't give you complete satisfaction, people will search for satisfaction somewhere else. And the scriptures which gives complete satisfaction in Srimad Bhagavatam. That is why Narad Muni said, people are looking for satisfaction. And if that satisfaction is not offered completely, fully, then people will be interested in something else. So why you have not given Srimad Bhagavatam? Also you know that Srimad Bhagavatam. It is not that Vyasadeva did not know the glories of the Lord. It is not that Narad Muni sat verse by verse dictated and Vyasadeva wrote. Vyasadeva knew it. The problem, what Narad Muni said, that you know that this gives satisfaction, but you have not given it. Imagine the crime a doctor does by not giving the right medicine to the patient. So this is what Vyasadeva has done. And now Vyasadeva is rectifying everything by giving Srimad Bhagavatam. And when he has completed Bhagavatam, it is described that he broken that instrument of writing. He said that this is it. Don't look for anything else. This is it. So that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also was so emphasizing that read Srimad Bhagavatam, relish Srimad Bhagavatam. So read is an English word. Relish or what do you say? Aswadan karo is the right word of Srimad Bhagavatam. We can tell read to all other literatures, but for Bhagavatam we have to use relish Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is what Srimad Bhagavatam is. So like that there are unlimited glories of Srimad Bhagavatam. And Shukadeva Goswami so mercifully gave. Imagine Parikshit Maharaj at one point was so thirsty. He realized that he was thirsty his thirst was Bhagavatam. He was thirsty in Shamik Rishi's ashram, but his real thirst got quenched when he came to Srimad Bhagavatam. In all these 7 days, you will never hear that Parikshit Maharaj said, "Wait, Shukadeva Goswami, let's have some break. If not for me, for others at least." Right? Nobody had that consciousness. Just hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. 7 days and 7 nights. Just like when Krishna lifted Govardhan for 7 days and 7 nights, all the Brajvasis forgot everything. Forgot to change their dress every day, forgot to eat, right? Forgot to do their daily activities. That is what Bhagavatam can do to the devotees. That you forget everything, just be with Krishna. That's what Bhagavatam can do, and that is the significance of these 7 days where Bhagavatam was narrating. And when Shukadeva Goswami concluded his narration, he saw this brightly effulgent moon, Purnima. Generally, Purnima is considered very auspicious. It gives complete nectar. Like for example, Krishna is sometimes compared to Surya. And the mercy of Krishna is compared to Chandra. We call Mayapur Chandra, Chaitanya Chandra, like that. So that mercy on all other days is incomplete. Only on a Purnima day it is complete. Especially if you are sitting on a bank of a river. Like many people have this idea that we go to see a very important monument in India, and on a Purnima day it looks very shining and effulgent, right? So sitting on a river on a Purnima day, the river is reflecting the complete mercy once again. So that is what Bhagavatam can give you. So Shukadeva Goswami gave out this benediction. Just go 2 or 3 verses back. This is which verse is that? Which speaks about today's Purnima. Hmm, 12th canto, 13th chapter. 13? Verse number 13. Okay. Go back and we'll just read. If on the full moon day of the month of Bhādra, one places Srimad Bhagavatam on a golden throne, we have the golden throne, and gives it as a gift, he will attain the supreme transcendental destination. So this was the day when Srimad Bhagavatam was concluded, and that's why Shukadeva Goswami said, give it as a gift. Why Bhagavatam is given generally as a gift? Of course, we definitely have a price. But why it is given as a gift? Because when you give a gift, you don't take back the price. Like you go and meet a person, you give a gift. You didn't say the gift was like 500 rupees, give me 500 rupees. There is one more reason why it is given as gift, because it is priceless. You cannot pay a price to get Bhagavatam. That's why it has to be given as gift. So that's why Shukadeva Goswami says, give it as a gift to somebody who is worthy of it, who will value it. So that's what we all have to do, that we give this Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna's nectarian literature, as a gift to all the worthy people, and that's what is should be our mission goal. If you see Prabhupada also, when he went and started preaching, he had a flyer and he mentioned that Srimad Bhagavatam, 60 volume literature being carried by Scindia ship. This is what Prabhupada says. So we carry this mercy and we give this mercy on this auspicious day. So today, being that very auspicious day of Bhadra Purnima, it is a very auspicious day. We read Bhagavatam, we give gift as Bhagavatam. Those who are willing to give this gift of Srimad Bhagavatam to all the people of this world can visit our stores. Online also, I believe there is a description where you can avail this opportunity of giving this Srimad Bhagavatam. And after today's class also, there will be an arati for Srimad Bhagavatam. And yet another very, I can take 1 minute, just 1 minute. Bhagavatam is none other than Krishna. And sometimes acharyas give the first canto, second canto are legs. And then there is 10th canto is face. And those important chapters are like lips of Krishna. Why it is told like that? Because when you read entire Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, you know who Krishna is. You know who Krishna is. So that is the goal definition of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, is that you know Krishna. When you read Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, that is Krishna's darshan directly. So with this, I would like to conclude today's discussion. I went little over time, but I believe you all will excuse this overlook of mine. So thank you all very much for giving this opportunity for me. If anybody has any questions, you can please ask. Yes, question? Hare Krishna.
We heard about the glories of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Now another Bhagavatam we hear is the Brihad Bhagavatam. So can you give a gist about what is like Brihad Bhagavatam?
What is Brihad Bhagavatamrit? Okay. Now Bhagavatam definitely does not speak about Brihad Bhagavatamrit. It is Brihad Bhagavata Amrita. Okay. So Brihad Bhagavatamrit means, Brihad means extended or great. Bhagavata Amritam. This is Bhagavatam, that is Bhagavata Amrit. Imagine Bhagavatam is Amritam of Veda. This is Veda Amritam. Or this is Bhagavatam, this is Bhagavata Amritam. So how condensed and intense it could have been. So now when Shukadeva Goswami had narrated to Parikshit Maharaj heard entire Srimad Bhagavatam, and then he was meditating that this is the time when I should leave. Mother Uttara comes running. She says that, oh, you just left the kingdom without even telling me. Right? When Parikshit heard that this was curse upon me, he did not have time. He did not have a group of WhatsApp messages and fatafata, I am going Ganga, all of you come. Nothing like that. He just left. So Uttara missed out. That I couldn't come and hear Srimad Bhagavatam. Or sometimes it is described that she couldn't understand. Like you go to Srimad Bhagavatam, some verses are not understandable. Like 5th canto, some things are not understandable. So Uttara told to Parikshit, my dear son, you are my only shelter. If you don't deliver me, what should I do? My husband is lost. I gave up my father's house long back. So you are my shelter. I heard that you have something very great nectar. Can you please describe me, last minute, like, Bhagavatam class got over, all are leaving, last minute, 1 minute nectar, can you please tell me? So then Parikshit Maharaj says, maybe I should have kept quiet and meditated on Krishna, but you have asked question is very good. She asked 2 questions. That I want to know the essence of everything, what is the greatest of all the essences, and second thing she asked was, I know that devotees are very dear to Krishna, and I suppose that there is a very special place where devotees stay. Like in the entire Attapur, this is a very special place, devotees stay here. So Uttara also asked that even in spiritual world, I feel that there is a special place where special devotees stay. So can you speak about that? So he told 2 narrations. One narration is of finding out who is the supreme amongst all the Vaishnavas. Another is a story of a Gopakumara which describes about how Krishna is loving for everyone. The another reason why we should go back to Godhead is not that we become purified of anarthas, we get a good place to stay, no harassment of 6 anarthas, because Krishna is waiting for us. Krishna is waiting for us in spiritual world that when we will come back. So that should give us more impetus for going back to Godhead than we want to go back to Godhead. Krishna is waiting. Imagine every conditioned soul, Krishna is waiting in spiritual world that when will he come back? When will he come back? Like that. So that describes about Brihad Bhagavatam. Okay? Yes? Devanam achyuto yatha. Okay. See, all other devas, sometimes or other, they fall down. I don't have to describe about Indra's condition. Other demigods, all are in one way, they fell down. Even sometimes you will see that Lord Shiva also described like that. I will not touch it because very sensitive topic. But any demigod like Brahma fell down, right? There are instances. Achyuta means never falls down. So that's why Devana means Deva sometimes fall down. Achyuto yatha means never falls wrong. Similarly, Bhagavatam, other Puranas may have so many different things. Bhagavatam achyutaha yatha, as it is. Okay? So yes, Bhavame Prabhu. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Few minutes, entire Bhagavatam.
Few minutes, entire Bhagavatam. It is very difficult to describe entire Bhagavatam in few minutes. But one place where you can find that intensity of Srimad Bhagavatam is that the place where Uddhava goes to meet the people who are suffering from Krishna consciousness. Right? Uddhava goes to meet all the gopis in Vrindavan. They are suffering from Krishna consciousness. All in this material world are suffering for not being Krishna conscious. Right? But there you will see a story where people are suffering because of Krishna consciousness. It's a sarcasm towards suffering, but that intensity. So Uddhava also realized that devotion is supreme to anything else. Right? Devotion is supreme to anything else. So that's why Bhagavatam is supreme to anything else. Actually, we sell Bhagavatam 7,000, 8,000, we should say that it is priceless, actually. It is a printing price. It is not the price of Bhagavatam, please. It is a printing price. It is not price of Bhagavatam. The price of Bhagavatam a person has to do is, with Shraddha, hear it. That is Bhagavatam. So in short, what Bhagavatam is, anything that gives you nectar of Krishna. Anything that gives you nectar of Krishna is Bhagavatam. So in our Gaudiya Vaishnava literature, Bhagavatam expands into many other literatures like Chaitanya Charitamrita, Nectar of Devotion. These are all extensions of Srimad Bhagavatam. Right? Thank you all very much for giving. Yes, Prabhu? Yeah.
So you said that Bhagavatam, it's not limited, it's always expanding. So one proof of that is that, for example, in Satyaloka, like in this material world, we have 18,000 verses. So in Satyaloka, in Brahmaloka, there's something like 1 million verses,
1
10
million
lakhs,
yeah.
or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's really unlimited.
It's
How
unlimited.
many pastimes of the Lord actually
It's unlimited.
is there? Thank you.
Thank you. Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki. So now there will be an arati for Srimad Bhagavatam. You all can please participate. Srila Prabhupada ki.
नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणी निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी सतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि और भक्तवृंद।
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद।
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद।
श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद।
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि और भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे
हरि बोल।
राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare
Hare
Hare Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna
Vivo
Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा
जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा
हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल
नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल सब हरि बोल
जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजक आचार्य स्तोत्र शत श्री श्रीमद अभय चरणारविंद भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ISKCON founder Acharya, BBT founder Acharya, author of the great Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhakti Vedanta purports, Abhay Charanarvinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजक आचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव भक्त वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। व्रज भूमि वृंदावन धाम की जय। मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की जय। गंगा मई की जय। यमुना मई की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। तुलसी महारानी की जय। पतित पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। कलयुग पावन श्रीमद् भागवत महाग्रंथ की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories unto Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. हरे कृष्णा। आज ये श्रीमद् भागवतम हमने गोल्डन थ्रोन के ऊपर बैठा के वर्शिप किया है और ये भागवतम कोई भी लेके किसी को दान दे सकते हैं, उनका जरूर भगवत प्राप्ति मिलेगा। हरि